Hey guys, it's Dan, Professor Daniel here. I was just thinking about a path or text on a path. It was part of your assignment, and some people were struggling with it, so I thought I'd fool around with it and see what it was like. When I work with paths, I always make sure I can see my path palette and my layers at the same time. Photoshop tends to cluster them here. Let me make this screen a little bit. Give me a little more real estate. I'm going to close this little libraries panel. And or not close it, just minimize it. So I always like to see my path palette at the same time as I see my layer palette. So I'll like tear it off and put it somewhere where I can see it. In this case, I'm just putting it near it so we can see them both at the same time. And then layers, paths, yeah, like it. And so the path tool, I'm using red as my foreground color, and remember we can change that just by clicking on it and choosing whatever obnoxious red just to see. And then I'm going to find my path tool, which is 2/3 of the way down my tool palette. The path tool it's called the pen tool, and it looks like a old-fashioned ink pen. And I guess maybe because old-fashioned ink pens could make really nice lines. I don't know. I'm going to make a path. I can edit it any time, so if I get it wrong, I get it wrong. So I'm going to click, and then if I just click again, it'll be straight. But if I click and then drag, undo that, Command Z, click and drag, then I get this like Bezier handle showing up, and that way I can curve it. And so that to me that makes the text more interesting because it's on a curve. Photoshop is one of those places that can do it, that can make text on a curve. So just be like, oh yeah, kind of like this shape. If I want to edit my shape right now, I can go to the path selection tool. The black path selection tool will let me move the whole path as a unit. The little white arrow underneath the direct selection tool will let me like click and just grab individual points, so I can grab points. And then once a point's selected, then those Bezier handles become active, and then you can change the curvature. The point of Bezier handles in these text things, it's trying to allow you to make a very smooth path or a very smooth shape with just a few points. So like the math code on this is really small because it just says these 3 points and then like the Bezier physics or something. I'm probably getting that wrong. I should probably Google it so I don't lead you astray. But those of you that are mathematicians can probably tell me a thing or two about Mr. Bezier or Mrs. Bezier, who invented this concise form of line. Anyway, so I've got a path. That's all that matters. Shut up, Daniel. How do we put text on our path? Well, we come down to our text tool, and I'm just grabbing a regular old horizontal text tool. And as I hover over my path, it changes into a text like I, which is kind of showing where an I would go, I guess, and then a path underneath it. So it has to be hovered. So if for some reason I deselect my path, it's gone. I'm going to make sure that that's selected. And that's again why I've got it floating here, separated from my layer palette. So I'm going to click on this end because that's where I want the text to start. It's like where you start it. So click there, and I'm going to write a word. I noticed that my son Zach is eating a croissant, crescent, I don't know. And so I will try to spell that like CROISANT. It looks like wrong. S. So if I wanted to fix something, or if I wanted to check spelling, I can say edit, check spelling, and it said spell check is complete. And it didn't show me anything. If I want to see something, I want maybe find and replace text. No, I don't know. I thought it would show me. It used to show you when you checked spelling. If a word was spelled wrong, well, let's spell it wrong. Edit, check spelling. Oh, there it goes. There, it got it right. It gives me a suggestion. So I will say change, and then it'll show me this. If it bugs me every time that pops up, I can turn that off, and it'll just do it on its own. Okay, so I've got croissant. I can change the size of it up here. and nothing happens. So one of the things that about the text tool in Photoshop is that it has to be selected for a lot of the things to work. So an easy way to select it, I mean, you can kind of click near it and select it like that. But I like to come over to the layer palette and double click on the text. And sometimes it takes a couple clicks, but that selects all the text that there is. And so if you have text that's going off the end or something, it'll grab that also. And if you make a change, so if I come down here and say, oh, I want this all to be much bigger, I said bigger, I said even bigger, then that's how you do it. And we can type in here, and we can also, let's see, I think you can select the 72, which is the point size, and use your arrows if you have a fancy keyboard like the up and down arrows to make your text bigger or smaller. The other thing that's fun is you can select like the font and use your arrows to find a nice font. But like, I'm a sucker for Courier. It's like old school typewriter, and I grew up with typewriters, so I love it. Anyway, one of the things that you can change without it being selected is the color. In different versions of Photoshop, they turn that off and on. But like, let's see, I can click here, and then I can maybe pick a nice, try it in Zach's glasses color. Maybe it's a little like it disappears right there, so maybe something a little bit brighter. Yeah. Anyway, I can change its color. I'm gonna pick a warmer one there. Maybe a more sepia. Yeah. Okay. Warmer and then a little bit darker. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we can futz around with that till the cows come home. But blah blah blah. We can change it without it being selected. I like that idea. Oh, I just got an idea. How do you pronounce croissant? I'm probably saying it wrong. So I'm going to go to the web here and type it in.
Croissant.
Okay.
Croissant.
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 Croissant. I love how French just makes it so sexy.
Croissant.
Croissant. Oh, man. Okay, so I'm going to try selecting it just because I want to write more words. I'm going to say, let's see. Let's make this into a sentence. How do you say croissant? Let's see if I got that. Again, I'm selecting it by double-clicking on the text layer in the layer palette. And I'm going to make this whole thing smaller. Again, remember, I can select it and use my arrows to go, make it all smaller. Okay, so it looks like I almost got it. So let me go. I can also use my arrows to go, if I press the right arrow to go to the end of it. Oh, I guess not when it's selected, though. Go to the end of it. And then I'm going to make a question mark because I love question marks almost as much as I love this font. Okay, it looks like it could be a little bigger. Okay, again, selecting it, using my arrows to sort of nudge it to the right size. Or the other thing I can do is I can go to the path selection tool and find one of the ends. Make it longer. I should make this end longer. Oops, I just screwed it up though. So I clicked with my, what did I do? Oh, so I can change the, like where it starts and the backwardsness of it. Like I can, with the direct selection tool, I always forget which tool they let you do this in Photoshop. And now I can't get it to do it again. So it's kind of like where you are on it, but I can tell when it turns into that. Anyway, you futz around with it. Like if we zoomed in on the text tool, we can see that it's got a little arrow, and that's kind of like letting us move it around, like where it starts, and if it's on the top or the bottom. And I believe that one of these tools will let you do it, but I think it might work with other tools these days. All right, let me go. What was I doing? Oh, I was trying to make it longer. So just trying to get to that path, find the end of it, make it longer, so we can make this into a big old sentence. Selecting it, making the text a little smaller. Maybe go back to the path. So, like, you know, this is the thing. This is like the design of it. And again, I'm like sort of deselecting the text by clicking outside of on the layer palette and finding my, oops, actually no, I have to do it this way. I have to select it with here and here. So I can have my text selected, and I can have my the path text of it. And once that's selected, then I can come and do things like move it around on there or get to the shape of the path to make it go which way I want it. Let's say I want it to go around my daughter's head, because she would get mad if I put text on her face. And I like the way it kind of follows the shape of the hat. And makes it kind of hard to read though, so maybe we should follow her shoulder. Let's add another point to the path. You can do that with this add anchor point tool. So it's got a lot of cool things you can do with paths. They're really kind of frustrating to work with at first, but they're worth mastering and like looking at more tutorials. Because a lot of products use the same idea, like Adobe Illustrator. I'm going to make this really big. Really big. Oops. Really big. It's got to compete. I don't know. I don't know if I should make it that big, but anyway. Zach will not be mad about that. He does not mind. So I grabbed the move tool, and you notice that it basically just grabs everything. And if I hold my shift key down, then I could like proportionately scale it, like so I'm not stretching the font. But not that it would matter in something like this, because it's just the idea of it. About a little bit bigger here. Okay. I don't know. Okay, let's get back to the path. Something is driving me crazy here. The way that this is turned. So what I'll do is I'll add another point right there, and then I will. It's like I don't even mind it going this way. Yeah, I like that better. Do I don't know. I guess I don't really like the way the question mark looks in this font. So if that makes me crazy, I can just select that actually, and maybe try another one. Yeah, much Myra Pro, just a simpler, a kinder, gentler question mark. American typewriter. Maybe I'll try that. It's not very kind and gentle, but interesting. And let's see, I can't remember if Photoshop's one of those programs that lets me do this on a character basis, but let's just change it to yeah. So let me sample that same brown, just make it a little darker for emphasis. Yeah, that's it. The other things we can do with fonts, or we can do any of those effects that we were fooling around with in some of our tutorials. We could stroke our font, and sometimes that can be helpful to make it show up on a background. In this case, I'm going to add, let's see how it looks a little white, but not really bright white, just turn its opacity down to just enough to help it separate. Nope, don't like it. Let's go with black. So, just turning it just to give it a little strength. And so, like this stroke could be told to be on the inside, or the outside, or the center. Anyway, you can jump between them to sort of see. And I guess I should turn it up to 100% opacity so I can really see how it looks. Anyway, you can fool around with that till the cows come home. Again, any of these effects, I'm going to try drop shadow. One of the cool things about drop shadows is you can kind of move them. But, ooh, maybe I just want a shadow. And the shadow could have less opacity, be a little more subtle, or gnarlier. And you can fool around with all these settings and make it sort of feel like the scene. It isn't really it isn't following the contours of my kids because it's not really a three-dimensional layer, but it is kind of cool. The other thing I can do is change it so that there's no opacity. It's just the fill layer. Let's try that again. Basically, I'm turning the text tool off, but it's keeping its shadow and the outline stroke. So that I kind of like. That makes it look a little more subtle, but I think I'm going to futz around with the shadow to make that work a little bit better. There we go. Ooh, I like it. So instead of probably the tutorial, it's fill is 0. So the fill being the original font, but what it's showing with the opacity is it's showing the stroke and the drop shadow. So that's kind of cool. Maybe if we put the opacity or the fill at a little bit of a percentage, give it a little more substance. One of the things that I don't like about it right now is that I would love it if that question mark went over the glasses. I love what it does with the nose, love what it does with the face, but to make it go over the glasses, I might do something like duplicate it and mask it. So I'll show you that real trick. So I'm duplicating it by I can just right click on the layer and say duplicate layer, and then I'm just going to say, let's see, I'll just leave it as it is. But on its layer, I'm going to turn the opacity up to 100% for a second so I can do it. And I'm going to give it a mask. So I'm just going to grab this rectangular marquee tool to make a selection, because the only part I really care about is right here. And I'm going to be more subtle in a minute, but that's the part I'm going to want, just the part that goes over the glasses. And say, oh, put a mask on that layer. And remember what a mask is. It's just a black piece of paper with white. And so I could get some, put black on my foreground color, grab a paintbrush, perhaps a very hard paintbrush, and do a little painting where my mask is. And now, let's see what that looks like. What's wrong with my brush? Zooming in at 100% here or more, actually. All right, let's just see what this looks like. Oops. The brush is so lame here. Hardness 100%, that's right. Oh, opacity is not 100%. That was my problem. So, I'm repainting this thing. Oops. All right, so back to filled. So all that thing is doing is just adding a little bit, like it going over the glasses instead of having it be in front of the glasses, having it be on top of the glasses, which just was something that was making me crazy. So you could care less about that. I know. You're just like, shut up. I just want to know how to do path text on a path. All right, I'm gonna stop this silly thing.